Hi guys, this is Kurt, Oscar November 7, Oscar Fox Fox. I hope you all have a lovely day. Today I'm coming to you from Thailand. Yes, I am also Hotel Sierra Zero Zulu Papa X-Ray. You can see it by looking at the background that I'm not in my home QTH today. So we're going to have a closer look to the newest version of the Thetis that has been dropped by Mike India 0 Bravo Oscar Tango about a week ago. This is the beta version 2.10.3.11, beta number 1. Although it's a beta, I recommend you to download it because there's a lot of new features that have been added into this version of Thetis. And in this video, I want to cover everything that is important to your day-to-day use and operation of the Thetis software if you are a HL2 user. I am aware that this version has been released a while ago already for the Anan users, but I wanted to wait because we're specifically talking about the HL2, the Hermes-Lite. I wanted to wait before I got the newest version available and drop this video for you guys. So without further ado, let's dive into it and let's explore version 2.10.3.11 of the Thetis software. So we're back, and one thing of course you need to do is download the latest version. I will put the link in the description of this video. Just click on the link and it will bring you to the download page of the latest version of the Thetis software, so version 2.10.3.11. Before we continue, I would like to thank very much Richie, Mike Whiskey 0, Lima Golf Echo. So all my credits, of course, go to Richie and also to Mr. Rate, Mike India 0, Bravo Oscar Tango. Richie is actually taking care of adding new features to the program, and Rate is mostly exporting the current Thetis software that is normally supposed to be used with the Anan for the HL2, the Hermes-Lite number 2. So let's first go over the general operating and usability improvements that have been added into the Thetis 3.11. One thing that I requested is the don't go to sleep feature. So if you go to setup, and let me just display the setup in a huge screen, and you go to general and then options number 2, you will see that there has been a few toggles that have been added. And one is prevent system auto sleep and also prevent screensaver. It is important if you are using a computer and you're just, listening to the radio. It's very annoying when the computer goes into sleep mode. And when you wake up, you have to restart the entire Thetis because everything is screwed up. So this feature has been added on my request by Richie. So thank you, Richie, for this one, because this is something I've been looking forward for a long, long time. Another thing that has been added is where you go to transmit and you go to pulse tune. So here, generally spoken, if you click the tune button on top here, so you see my mouse there. So if you click on the tune button, you will have a carrier, and the carrier is making it hard sometimes for the amplifiers. So you might just, screw up your amplifier because you're sending too much power. The pulsed tune is going to, instead of replace the tune, it will be a tit, so it does not stress the amplifier, especially if you're using a tube amplifier. It will just release the stress on these tubes when you need to tune your amplifier. And this has been added as well into the pulse tune, but also if you go to tests and then you go to this here, you have also pulse tune right here. So if you do a two-tone tunes, you can also have pulse tune right here. And also, if you have your Thetis and you have other programs being started up, you go to general and then to startup options. All these programs here will be started up automatically in my case. And if you've been following my channel, I also recommend to combine the Thetis software with the Cluster-TCI-Bridge. And I have the Cluster-TCI-Bridge as a standard startup program, together with also Log4OM in my case. And I have this one here. There is a video. I will put the link in the description where you can have a little program that will be running in the background to transform all these WAV files into MP3, so you can drag and drop them easily into your WhatsApp, for example, WhatsApp window, if you want to share an audio. If you also push the Alt key when you are starting up Thetis, it won't start these items here. So the Alt key, while you double click on the Thetis program at the startup, it will disable starting these programs. So it can be useful, for example, if you're on the move and you just want to listen. You don't need the Log4OM because you're just in SWL mode, and you don't need the Cluster-TCI-Bridge. You just click on or keep the Alt key down when you click or double click the icon of the HL to the Thetis for HL2. So let's go to the next chapter, which is denoising and DSP enhancements in the newest version of Thetis. This is going to be a longer one, so bear with me, but I think I will give you very essential and interesting information so you really understand how these different noise reduction systems work in the Thetis software. In short, NR2 guesses, NR3 thinks, and I think I could describe like NR4 paints the sound, paints the audio. What do I mean with that? Let's go to NR2. NR2 is what you all already use. Most of the people have been using NR2 for a while. And just to recapitulate, I just want to be sure that you use NR2 in a correct way. Let me just go to NR2 right here. The way you should use NR2 is in combination with the auto gain control, the slider that you can find right here, right above my video picture here. So of my camera, you can see my, you cannot see my mouse, but you can see AGC gain, and you can see this one is moving up and down. So you can see it's now at 73. And this is because I have the automatic gain control engaged. And you just do that by right clicking on the slider. So if you right click, now you can see my mouse here. If you right click on this slider here, it toggles the automatic gain control on and off. So it's going to actually see what's the noise floor, and it will compensate and level the automatic gain control to a point where you actually try to filter out that ground floor noise. So you can also control the amount of dBs above or below the ground floor noise. And this is done if you go to setup. Let me just go and look at the setup here. And you go to, let's say, DSP, AGC, okay? And this feature, AGC, will automatically noise floor compensation. And here you can change the shift of that noise floor. So how many dBs above and under the noise floor you want this slider to position itself, okay? So if you turn this higher, you tend to get less noise from the ground floor noise, but you might be confronted with, if you are listening to very weak signals, with loss of audio from that signal. So you have to put this in such a level, or you can of course manually change it, okay? But once you manually change it, it will disable the toggle function. So you just have to right click again to get that green line in that slider here, okay? So if you combine the AGC together with the NR2, you're good to go. Now, how does NR2 actually work as a reminder for those who are using it? It actually listens to the incoming audio signal and tries to separate what sounds like voice and what sounds like random noise. So imagine looking at a signal as a graph. You see the strong parts, which are usually speech, and you see the weaker parts, which are messy parts and which are actually the noise of the frequency. So NR2 constantly adjusts itself together with the AGC to lower the noise parts and keep that voice part right on top of that noise floor. Okay, so it's like a little bit like an automatic equalizer that tries to guess which frequency should be intensified and come through. That would be speech, and which one should be disabled or should be lowered, which in general should be noise. The only downside you have with NR2 is that it might just sound quite hollow or like a thin can. And you can adjust the NR2 if you right click on NR2 on the front end of Thetis. You can see here there's a lot of things. These are my settings of NR2, but you can change it to your liking. So if you want to really adjust it, just go and do some tests with it. And then you can see in the NR2 section here for you can change the gain, you can change quite a lot of things. You can even have a train threshold as well, but I have this kind of a current setup for my NR2. Now let's go to these two new versions of the noise reduction. So we now, if you click on the NR2, you will get to NR3, and this will actually go to, as I explained to you before, NR2 is going to be the one that actually guesses. And as I told you, NR3 is the one that actually thinks. So it's an AI-based system. And it's based on RN noise, which is a noise suppression system that actually uses artificial intelligence. So let's imagine there are three people, okay? You are the man in the middle. You are Thetis, okay? You are the Thetis guy. And imagine somebody walks up to you in a very noisy room where there are hundreds of people. They're talking, they're chattering, they are making noise with their glasses. There is loud music. It's pure chaos, okay? Somebody comes to you in that room that is very noisy, and they start to talk to you. We as a human being, we have something what we call neuroadaptation. We will filter out all the information and we will only focus on the information that comes to us so we can understand that person that is talking to you. Okay, this is actually NR3 doing exactly the same. So imagine you're Thetis and you're in that room and somebody comes up to you and start to talk to you. Your brain, your ear and your brain will focus on that speech of that person who talks to you, and you will forget all that noise around you. You will try to only focus on their particular voice so you can understand what they're saying to you. Well, imagine you're Thetis, you're in that room, and at the same time you can be in another room where there is no noise, where it's very quiet, where there is no people. And you are able to repeat exactly what this person is telling to you in that second room in real time. And the third party, the third person, listens to your speech. So actually you're receiving the speech in that loud room, and you're retransmitting, rebroadcasting that audio in the other quiet room. So the person who is listening to you will have a very comfortable way of listening to the speech of the first person, okay? That's what NR3 is all about. It just filters everything, and you will be able, as a user of the Thetis software, as a third person, to listen to the speech in such a way that you're not bothered by any noise at all. You will just have the speech. You will be able to listen to it without having any noise that comes from static, other QRM, bleed over, whatever. So, and this is what NR3 stands for. It's non-configurable. So if we look at the setup menu here, you can see there are no settings right now for an RN noise. Now be aware it's still in development and they are improving the AI with all artificial intelligence systems. There is like a roadmap, and the artificial intelligence system just becomes smarter and smarter with every upgrade we will go through. So right now, as of this version, 3.11, I recommend to use NR3 specifically if you are going to listen to very strong signals. So if you're going to rag tube, let's imagine you're on 80 meter, 40 meter, the signal is 30, 40 dB over, and you don't want to be bothered by that QRM that you get from the ground floor noise, etc., just turn on NR3. And if somebody is talking on the frequency, I'll show you right away with a real-time example. You will see that when they stop talking, when they stop their speech, it's like FM for single sideband. So it's very impressive. If you've never had NR3 before, if you've never experienced this, even if you go and listen to that station and you just go 1 kilohertz next to the frequency they're on, up and down, the speech completely vanishes and you have silence. That's NR3. Okay. Now let's move to NR4. And NR4 is, as I explained you, NR2 is how it guesses, NR3 is how it thinks, and NR4 is how it paints. So it's like a painting. It's going to what we call spectrum bleach. And the word says it all. It's going to cut the bandpass filter in very small sections, all very tiny frequency bands, and it gently bleaches and fades out the areas where there is noise. So instead of cutting the noise sharply like NR2 does, it's going to look at every frequency and decides what to do with this noise that comes through that little very small bandpass filter. And then it's going to recollect everything. It's going to send it through again, and then you will be listening to the audio that comes through. Now, the result is smoother. It's a softer audio with less background hiss. It sounds kind of natural, although you might have also that metallic sound, but you can smoothen it out. So there's a lot of settings that you have in NR3, as you can see it right here. You got algo 1, algo 2, algo 3 reduction. You get that smoothing sound. So I recommend you to just play with it and see which one you like most. So the main goal to have these different noise reduction options is for us as a user of the Thetis software is to avoid fatigue in our ears when we are using the radio over an extended period of time. And it's up to you to choose which version of noise reduction. So let me demonstrate. Let me just mute that for a second. Let me demonstrate the different noise reduction systems that we currently have available to us with the 3.11 version. And I will go over them and show you the strength also of each of them. This is no noise reduction. I'm skipping noise reduction number 1. Go to noise reduction number 2. As I explained you before, you can also change the automatic gain control. Okay, let's go to NR3. If I would go 1 kilohertz lower, it just mutes everything completely. It's like Foxtrot mic, FM. If I go up 1 kc, let's go up 1 kc. 2 kcs. So it can barely hear the station. So if I go back on the frequency and I go back 1 kc down, it's completely gone. That's the NR3 that thinks. And let's go to the NR4 that paints. And here you have that wobble sound a little bit. You can smoothen it by changing the values right here. You can change the values to your liking. And I've seen a few values on different forums, so I'll write them also in the description of this video. So this brings us now to the chapter, what I would call the performance enhancements of Thetis in version 3.11. You might have noticed that it takes an awful long time just to start up Thetis. And especially when you're using Thetis and you're switching between audio profiles, or if you're switching between, let's say, single sideband AM, and then you go to frequency modulation to FM, it takes an awful long time to switch between these things and to start up the Thetis software. Starting from this version, we now have caching. Now, I'm going to avoid to give you a headache about the technical part, but suffice me to say that the most important thing you need to know is that you have a caching capability now in Thetis. Where do you find this? If you go to DSP and you go to options, you will now see something like filter impulse cache. Just enable both of them, okay? This will significantly speed up your Thetis software, especially at startup. So I think it takes about 30 seconds to start up Thetis if you do not have these enabled. And it has been reduced to, let's say in my case here, it's 30 to 35 seconds. It's reduced to me now to almost 12 seconds. It will use quite a lot of hard drive space because you will need about 300, 400 megabytes of extra hard drive space for the caching. But I think it's worth to enable it, and it will just speed up everything significantly. Another thing you will notice when you start up Thetis is that on a regular basis, it will ask you to recalculate what we call the FFT. So the thing that happens is that Thetis, at the first time you started Thetis, you had this black box and it started to do some FFT, which is called fast Fourier transform calculations. It's a mathematical engine that breaks down the sound into frequencies, and it needs to calculate how it can handle this calculation smoothly on your specific for your computer. And it needs to do these calculations to make Thetis be very smoothly. This FFT calculation is done normally first time when you start up Thetis, but now this has been added into the Thetis software that it will ask you I think it's every 2 months. So occasionally it will start up and it will ask you, do you want to recalculate the FFT calculations? And I would recommend you to say yes, because it will just makes Thetis run more smoothly. In this version of Thetis, we now also have another way of calculating the signal strength in receive. So a complaint that comes back very often is that, oh gosh, your Thetis software is not accurate. Your signal meter is always above 6, 7 when the ground floor noise is there. So it does not represent the exact measurement of the signal. So what's the point? And I can relate to that because indeed, sometimes, especially when operating close to the equator here in Thailand, the signal will never go below signal strength of 7 or even 8. So I want to go to my meters here, and just as a reminder for those who don't remember, if I go and hover with my mouse over the TRX box here, it does not show me the controls of the TRX box because I've hidden them. So if you hold down the shift key and go into the TRX box from the top, you will see that the controls, they come available. Click on that little wheel here and it will bring you right away into the controls of that TRX box. And you can see I have 3 Anan multimeters right here. And the first one is actually the standard signal meter. The second one is what we call the average signal meter. And the third one is what we call the FFT maximum bin. So let me explain them one by one. Let's go to the first one, which is what we call the normal traditional signal readout. And this is how it should be normally done. You can compare it to the readout of a signal meter of an analog old style Yaesu Kenwood or ICOM radio, the one that is still using tubes, no digital technology, it will check the bandpass filter. If you don't know what a bandpass filter is, it's what is lighted up here on my Thetis. And this is actually the signal that's coming in our pan adapter that will be routed to our speakers. That's where we'll be listening to. And it will calculate the entire energy going through that meter. So if I would go back to my setup menu here, the first one will be this one over here. It will take the entire energy and display it here on this meter here. Then we have the second one, and you can see for every meter, it has a specific symbol now. So you have this little O for the average one. You have this symbol for the total normal signal meter output. And this one here is for the bin FFT max signal readout. Now the average one, okay, let's compare it with this. Let's imagine you're standing on top of a mountain and you're looking right in front of you and you see three mountains right in front of you. One mountain is 100 meter, the middle mountain is 300 meter, and the third mountain is 200 meters. So if I would calculate them, it would be 100 plus 300 plus 200, that would be 600 meter high. This would be the first meter readout. The second meter readout would be the average. So I have three mountains, total is 600 divided by 3, so that means it would be 200. So that's why the signal meter here would be less strong, less high, and this is going to be the average power that goes through our bandpass filter. And then you got the new one, which is called the max FFT bin. Now it eliminates all the data and it will just look at the highest peak of the mountain that you're looking at. And in our case, if it would be 100 meter, 300 meter, 200 meter, it will take the highest peak, which will be 300 meter, okay? Now you're probably gonna notice that the FFT measuring system is always lower than even the average. In the FFT bin meter, it shows how tall the highest mountain is, but the average shows how big the entire mountain range is. And this is why the FFT bin looks lower. It's not weaker, it's just me measuring differently. So this is how you have to understand these different signal meters, especially the new FFT bin meter that has been added in this newer version. And this is the last very important thing, in my personal opinion, that has changed in version 3.11 is also the way that the spots are displayed, especially if you are using the Cluster-TCI-Bridge from Oscar Echo 3 India Delta Echo. If you do not have TCI-Bridge, if you're not using TCI-Bridge, I recommend you to go and have a look at my 2 videos about Cluster-TCI-Bridge, because it's really worth to combine the Cluster-TCI-Bridge together with Thetis, as it will bring you a very nice dynamic map. But also, if you don't use the dynamic map, there's a new features that have been added to 3.11. If you want to have your personal background, it's okay. But still, it has a huge impact on the way that the spots are displayed. So one thing that has been added in the Cluster-TCI-Bridge, and let me bring up Cluster-TCI-Bridge on this screen, is that you will first of all have to make sure that when you turn on Cluster-TCI-Bridge, that when you go to the TCI tabulator, that you have disabled the disable extra JSON data. So you want to have this extra JSON data on your spot being sent to the Thetis software. And I recommend you to, check the video about the Cluster-TCI-Bridge that I've made. But you need to send extra data to the Thetis software with this version. So what happens is that when you go over and hover over any of these spots, you will have more information. You can see who spotted, and you can also see how long they have been spotted. You can see the country, you can see the spotter. So there is much more essential information that is now displayed when you hover with your mouse over these QRZs. You can also enable what we call notification of new spots. You can see that there is a spot where is my mouse right here. I'm not gonna hover over it, but you can see it's flashing yellow. And if I hover over it, it will stop flashing. And this is a new spot. So you can see the age is 1 minute. So if I go to my my setup menu in Thetis, serial network cat MIDI, and I go to network, this is where you define the TCI connections interface. So it's a special protocol that talks with Thetis, and Cluster-TCI-Bridge is one of these softwares that is indeed talking. You see, I have 2 clients connected to the server. Now you can also enable Flash New, okay? And you can choose the color of the Flash New. So you have seen, and you can see right here, let me just bring back the other screen. You can see right here that there is a new spot, so it's flashing. You can see it's less than a minute. And this is what you have defined right here. So you can enable it right here. So when I right click one of these and I go to my browser, it will bring me right away to the QRZ page of that station. So a right click on the spot brings you to the QRZ page right away. So it was one of these requests I had with Richie. So thank you, Richie, for implementing the capability of right-clicking and also going straight to the spot on the browser. This concludes this video. I hope it was useful. Leave some comments in the comment section. Subscribe to the channel. It helps me to grow the channel, and also it gives me more energy to make more videos for you guys. Have a great afternoon, 73s, and hopefully see you soon again somewhere on the bands.